Thanks for watching. Two things coming up in astrology this week that I want to talk about. If you're watching this in the future, should be good information anyway. It's the same planets, the same stars, the same influences, the same sun and moon, basically. That's what it's all about. Basically, there's a very special full moon coming up tomorrow, which, as I'm doing this on Monday the 18th, is actually going to be on Tuesday the 19th of February 2019. It's a supermoon. It's not actually a blue moon this time because there's only one full moon in this month, but it's a supermoon. It's going to be a very, very powerful influence. But just before we get to that, what I really want to talk about is, excuse me, I'm going to look all over the place when you're driving. There is a sun sign shift this week. The sun is moving again. Last time we talked about this, the sun had actually just left Capricorn and moved into Aquarius. So the grounding had changed. People were less certain. Things were less sure. But people were able to enjoy themselves more and actually follow where the third eye was taking them because of that. Well, people can always follow that. And if you've got a boost from that, that is wonderful. Nothing is necessarily going to change with that. That's what astrology brought you this time around on the cycle, when we actually got into Aquarius. But now we're moving out of Aquarius into Pisces. Now, Aquarius is kind of quirky. Pisces more watery, more emotional, and because it's the sun shifting into Pisces, much to do with leadership of the world, leadership of nations, businesses, companies, individuals as well, just leadership of ourselves. We have to have some kind of propriety in life if we're ever going to get anywhere. And I know if you've got a job, if you've got a family, anything, you'll be looking after them. And in a sense, that's a way of looking after yourself. They're all planks in the platform. Don't know if you can see the top of my head now. I'm starting to look like Batman, but driving as I am, the sun keeps moving. Aware of that this week, though. No, say that again. Awareness of that is important this week because it's going to be a change that we're all going to feel. Probably at the subconscious level. I'm not saying events are going to happen that are going to set things off or anything, but at the subconscious level, that's where the human psyche is actually going in terms of astrology. And I'm confident to say that because astrology is essentially statistics that have been observed for thousands of years. So we know that's the way it's going. Excuse me, just looking for traffic. It's a beautiful country place, this, but sometimes cars just come tearing out the corners because they're not expecting anybody to be coming. And I sympathise, I'm a bit like that myself, but I do stop and look. I think it's quite important to stay alive. And stop and look is something we could be doing in terms of the full moon tomorrow, because the moon cycle is always going, you know, there's always new wonders coming along. I mean, it's always the same moon, always the same cycle. And, you know, various monuments throughout the world prove that it's always been happening this way, or at least as long as there's been a moon in the sky, it's been happening this way. Controversy about how long the moon has gone there. Is it a hollowed out thing with people living in it? Who knows? And, you know, I'm not going to care too much because although it's our closest to the neighbour in the sky, it is actually a very, very long way away. So far away that people may not actually have been there. On the other hand, they may. I mean, I've got an open mind on that one, but what about the Van Allen belts, eh? That's what I wonder about. Anyway, right, full moon coming up. It's in the afternoon UK time, about 3:30ish in the UK afternoon. So it's going to be early in the morning Pacific, kind of mid-morning Eastern. And it's actually going to be right into the early hours of Wednesday the 20th in New Zealand. So if you're watching there, please forgive me for calling it the 19th all the time. But it's going to be the 19th here, and I'm feeling kind of 19th-ish myself. But it's still the 18th, so there's time to prepare, there's time to do the clearing, there's time to make space for the good that needs to come in. And let's face it, who doesn't want some good to come into their life? I wouldn't mind some coming into mine. It's coming in all the time, but I still have that affirmation that I want to keep good things coming in. And anything to do with manifestation, alchemy even, you might say. But generally speaking, the alchemy on your own life in a low-key way that we all perform every day by trying to kind of be aware of the spiritual forces, the cosmic influences, that kind of thing. If you're aware of those things, and if you're on top of those things, and you're noticing the effect that they have in your life, the full moon is going to be a really powerful time for you. It is a very strong influence. I'm trying to get a second so I can look over at my book and see what sign it's in, because I've forgotten already. Oh no, it's Virgo. I haven't looked at the book, I've remembered. It's full moon in Virgo. and it's actually in the last degree of Virgo. That's what I was going to say, because there are 3 supermoons in 2019. This is the second of the 3, and they're all happening within 1 degree of the end of their own sign. Excuse me. So it is a very, very powerful string of 3. And if we look at that string of 3 and go back over the last probably about 4 or 5 years now, this kind of happenstance, this amazingness has been happening more than once. It's all taking us to 2020, when there are going to be massive changes in the way the world is governed, and really how we govern ourselves, I suppose. You know, there's going to be artificial intelligence, obviously. I know there's a big debate about that, but it seems to me the debate is more like how much artificial intelligence will be running the world, not whether it is or not. I mean, it's already starting to. But it's not all bad news. Any YouTuber, including me right at this minute, right, is working for an algorithm. I know what the algorithm wants. I'm trying to give it to it. I'm much more interested in what you want as people, but to make that work, I have to be kind of friendly with the algorithm, you see, which is why I'm always on you to like and subscribe and give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment, and give me a thumbs down. You know, I don't mind if people don't like it. That is absolutely cool. Give me a thumbs down. It's all part of my audience retention anyway. Hey, hey, hey. But this is the crazy world of artificial intelligence. If you keep it sweet, it keeps you sweet. And that's where we're headed at the moment. But this full moon comes in tomorrow, absolute supermoon. Get cleaning, get clearing. Have your thoughts on the future. Mercury is in just the right place for that today. But actually, another thing that happens tomorrow, Tuesday, the 19th of February 2019, is the pre-shadow to Mercury retrograde comes in. Mercury retrograde itself isn't happening until Tuesday, the 5th of March 2019. So we've got quite a way to go yet. But the pre-shadow, yep, that comes in tomorrow as I'm speaking, which is going to be Tuesday, the 19th of February. I'm now driving in town, so I'm slightly distracted because I'm thinking more about, well, town is a bit of a joke. It's a tiny village in the middle of nowhere, but it's like town to me. And here we are at the supermarket in Llandersill. I stopped in a supermarket car park because it was just too much harangumentation. It was very quiet here, but now I'm surrounded by people looking into the car as if I was a goldfish. Right, so supermoon, 0 degrees of Virgo, carries with it very strong subconscious undercurrents, so you're really going to need to tune in with the third eye in terms of thinking about what's going on, and you're going to need to keep a sense of perspective because there are actually undercurrents, psychological undercurrents coming to the fore, which could derail anybody, really, me, you, anybody, out of our basic life plan if we're not careful, because it could seem hopeless, but it's actually quite the opposite in that way that so often happens in any area of spirituality. You've got to close one door on the past before you can open the door to the future, to have any newness coming in, to have anything that really makes sense to you. Communications are also going to become very, very intuitive because we've got the Mercury retrograde starting the foreshadow tomorrow. And as that happens, there's going to be a conjunct from Mercury to Neptune and also a sextile from Mercury to Saturn this week. Both of those are likely to play into imagination, kind of productivity around the imagination, getting things done, you know, thinking of an idea and making it real. People who make things all the time, people who make things experience that all the time because they get the idea, oh, I think I'll make this thing, and they bring it into reality. Elsewhere on my channel, just in the last couple of days, I've made some videos about clock making, and I've got ideas in my head for these clocks, basically, and put the ideas into practice. And I've actually got ticking clocks that look like what I wanted them to look like. They don't tick all that much, actually. Now, I'm surrounded by old people who just like, what the hell's this man talking to himself in a car? I'm going to get out of here before I get forced into a psychiatric hospital or something. Let this old git park, it's just staring at me like I don't know what. Right, here we go, we are mobile. Da, 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 da. You can go up there now, mate. He didn't want to park in my parking space anyway. But people do like to have a look. But this is YouTube, isn't it? It's kind of new. In a lot of ways, it's cutting edge. I mean, I'm doing a talking head in a car, and I've been thinking to myself, well, what's cutting edge about that, really? But plenty is, actually, because I picked up a it pretty much is a webcam, actually, that I use to make some videos about 7 or 8 years ago, and he just couldn't have got this video quality in a car then. I don't think even the high-end expensive equipment was done. I do hate people's stupid selfish ways when they're driving. You know, I actually hate driving. I don't like to have hate in my heart, but there we are, I've expressed it now. It's just about the worst thing you can do to the planet. You just rip the lungs out of the planet every time you drive. You really do. And people who drive lots seem to be at much higher risk of becoming very bad-tempered people. It doesn't happen to everybody, but that's really what just happened there. And I don't think it's even full-on bad temper, you know. Someone just wanted to get there in a hurry. There's another car in the way. He came at me as if he was going to ram me, because that way it would stop, and it's impetuous, you know. And I bet that guy doesn't follow astrology or meditate or anything like that, because, you know, those things, those esoteric disciplines, are the only way to really be able to think outside the box. And by the box, I mean the prison that we're kept in, generally by the media, generally by what our German friends would call the zeitgeist or the Zeitgeist, just by the way things are. You know, some of it I don't mind. I'm driving at 20 miles an hour now because we don't want to knock anybody over and kill them. I think that's fine. Some people think we should be able to do 30, you know, but I don't know. I'm just happy to go along with the rules of life. And as the cars of life get faster, you could see that as a metaphor or as the real thing. As the car of life goes faster and faster, we have to go faster and faster with it, and somehow we have to keep breathing and keep smiling. So that's what I try to do. Hey, up the road on a sunny day, let's have a bit of driving. So that's the nature of this week then, as far as I can see it. And you never really know until the day comes and the stuff starts happening. But what a week. Supermoon coming up tomorrow, Mercury retrograde post-shadow starting today, Mercury and Neptune playing games, also Virgo in the picture. Excuse me. So it's going to be a case of expect the unexpected on several different fronts there, and it's super important to roll with the punches, because they're not really punches, they're lessons, and they will not actually destroy anyone's life or anything. None of us will even get knocked off our path, as long as we remember, try not to sweat the small stuff. That's what's really important. So if you look in front of you there, that view hasn't changed for about 400 years, except to say there used to be a gate. And we're just passing a standing stone on the right. See that? It's got a gate hinge thing attached to it, but that is a standing stone that's been there for a super duper long time. I don't know, hundreds and hundreds of years. My house is about 400 years old. And so we are actually seeing raw nature here. Not exactly the way God intended it, but there's nothing you're looking at in this image that wasn't done by the early farmers. You are about to see some plastic covered bales, but apart from that, nothing. And this is the question, what do we actually do with this? Do we start wrapping things in plastic? Do we keep on doing all the stuff that's causing damage to the world? And in our own lives, you know, are we actually at the centre of our own ecosystem, our own spiritual, psychological ecosystem? We don't always have to be at the centre of it. I mean, life is service, and for a lot of people, life is about what you can do for others, and that is wonderful. I think for all of us, it's about doing things for other people in one way or another. And what we really need to remember more than anything is just to keep going. That's the way you knacker the opposition. You just keep going, you tire them out. They can't get you. Expect the unexpected. It's going to be fabulous. Have a good one, folks. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Spread me around the internet a bit if you can. It really helps me get the word out. Andy Lynch on Facebook. Spirit Door by Sammy Kelly for psychic readings several times a week by two old school mediums. More Twig Brother woodwork stuff and the general country life and prepping and everything as we go on through 2019. Have a good one.